everybody. This is Volen in Pursuit of Art. I want to talk to you guys today about something that I think is incredibly important. It's more fundamental than fundamentals. In fact, it comes before that. A lot of people come to me and would ask me, what fundamental do I need to work on? What art subject do I need to improve in order to get to where I want to go to? But before you even get the fundamentals, in my mind, there's actually fundamentals of learning. There's fundamentals of doing things. And if those are missing, and yes, that's right, not only do you have to learn art fundamentals, but there's also even more stuff to be learned. But one thing you have to realize is that the better you get at all of these, and the better you understand just the universal fundamentals, the better you can improve at any specific thing that you're looking to get better at. So a lot of people say, I'm doing studies, I'm practicing, I'm doing these things, but I'm not improving. And in my mind, when I think of someone doing a study, what comes to mind is what I used to do, which is that I would just have something that I'm trying to replicate, and I would compare what I have to what's on there. And if mine matches the study, then great, I've done a good job. But that's not what studies actually are. And this is what we're going to talk about in this video. So it's a very complex topic. I'm also going to try to not over-explain it and keep it short. So if there's anything that you feel could use a bit more explaining, please just drop me a comment and let me know. It would be great for me to know what you think, because I'm thinking these things all the time and I'm by myself for pretty large portions of the day just going over these things, so they've become almost mundane, like they're every day. I've just thought of them so much that it's very possible that as I'm explaining them, I will neglect to mention how they connect to something else, that to someone that's just learning this stuff is like, well, I don't get how I connect all these pieces together. So send me some feedback, let me know what you feel could be explained a bit more. Then we're going to do a series of these, so then you get what you need to get in order to improve. Now let's get started. So, understanding improvement. How exactly do you know what you need to practice, and how do you get to a predetermined place that you want to be in? Let's say that you want to be a character artist. Let's say you want to do characters. How do you get there? What are the steps that you need to take? So someone just starting out, having no idea what to do, they'll probably just start practicing character, which that doesn't really sound like a bad idea. That's what you want to do, that's what you practice, that sounds pretty good to me. One thing you have to understand is that every single area that you're trying to improve is not just a skill. It's not one thing. It's a sequence of skills. So if you're doing character and you're just starting out, you might think that you're bad at characters, whereas in fact, you might just be bad at, let's say, measuring or proportion. You don't have accuracy built in yet. Maybe your lines are off. Maybe your line thickness, line quality, just the control of your line does not allow you to make accurate marks. So maybe your accuracy is okay, but your line quality is just off. You just cannot control the line that well. Most often, it's a combination of both. Another thing is that you probably don't have a visual library built at this stage. So if you're trying to do these without reference, well then you don't really have the repository of information for, let's say, figure, anatomy, design, any of those things. So you're really not bad at characters, and it's not characters you need to improve. You need to improve your accuracy, your measuring, your proportions. If you're trying to do stuff from imagination, you need to also improve your visual library. You need to have studied all of these different components, and then they have to fit together. And there's also a sequence that you have to learn. You can't just do anatomy first, which is what I did. When I first started out, that's one of the first things I ever learned was I was studying anatomy, because I was just very interested. And I don't regret it, but I am saying that it's the wrong sequence, because I started learning level 17, whereas I should have been learning level 1. So when I learned level 17, when I learned some things about anatomy, I could not apply it. I didn't have the skill. I didn't have the painting ability, the drawing ability, the sculpting ability, measuring accuracy, all of those things. I didn't understand visual library, how to build that. I didn't understand any of those things. I didn't understand that there was a sequence that has to be followed in order for everything to just be clicking together and everything is utilizable. If you don't follow the sequence, if you don't deconstruct the sequence properly, then you really are just unlocking pieces, but you cannot string them together in order to execute as best you can. So really step number one in figuring out how to improve at anything is deconstruction, which is what I'm doing with this video right now. I'm essentially deconstructing how do you improve. And what we did with character just now, with just that one example, this is literally a template for how you should approach any sort of learning. Environment follows the exact same principle. If you want to do environment and you are just starting out, you need to really think about what are the components of environment? What do I need to get good at? So let's say for that case, it could be, again, you might start with just sketching, visual library. Maybe also compensating for gaps in visual library with reference. So that means that just using a different method rather than trying to improve at one thing for a very long time, just changing your method sometimes can give you huge improvement. So also understanding value, because you'll most likely be having to paint an environment. Understanding the value structure, understanding creating depth, understanding atmosphere, understanding all of these different things. You can't just start and say, oh, I really suck at environments. You really need to first deconstruct everything. So you're going to have shape language. What are shapes that you're going to find in environments? How do you exaggerate those? So you're going to have to just practice design, because chances are when you start, certainly the case with me, you'd be very rigid. Like your designs would just be almost blockish, just squares. That's what I did. I remember when I was just sitting down, one of the first times I ever drew, I remember vividly, I told myself, okay, dude, let's just sketch something out. Like, let's just free up over here. We didn't do too well with that first cube that I tried to draw for like 4 hours. Let's just try and sketch some stuff. Let's make a horse, let's make a this, let's make a that. And then all I ended up making was just a bunch of squares, like almost everything I drew. Okay, let's not draw a square, okay, and it was kind of almost like another square. I just did not understand design. I did not understand how to make stuff. And I hadn't looked at enough things at that stage to be able to just draw upon all of those and to make something new. I had zero visual library, zero understanding, zero sequence, zero strategy. I had no chance of improvement at that time. So whatever it is that you're looking to get better at, you need to really identify what are the components that are involved in this thing that I'm trying to do. Once you've identified, just start breaking it down. Start breaking it down to the most basic, most remote, far away element that you could possibly get, to the smallest variable, down to, let's say, again, from character, down to line quality of just, is your line clean enough so then you can see it and make the next one? Or if it's, let's say that you're doing it in value, are you making the correct shapes? So are you following the right edges? Are you doing all those things? So you're taking something that's, let's say, this far away over here, like you have it over here, and then you're breaking it down to the most tiniest little next step of like, where am I messing up first? Not on level 27, not on 153, not on my character does not exude profundity and its costume is not something that's never been seen and it does not emote correctly. No, dude, is the nose on the correct side of the face? Or is the nostril as big as the cranium? Are you maybe just exaggerating proportions just a bit because you can't control them yet? Is it something that's completely different to what your initial first thought is of, oh, I suck at character, I'll never improve? How about you just let go of that and just, okay, let's just dice this thing just like a chef. Let's just dice all the single pieces. Let's separate them all together. Find the first one. I'm going to practice line today. Tomorrow I'm going to practice accuracy. I'm going to make a bunch of points and I'm going to replicate that alignment. I'm going to measure and I'm going to put them in place. Okay, third day, I'm going to practice those two together. I'm going to have good lines and I'm going to also practice going in between everything to be accurate. Third day, okay, I've done all that stuff. Or is it the fourth day now? Let's now try some edges. Are my edges all fuzzy? Can I control those? Okay, I've got that. Then day 356, okay, let me attempt the costume now. Let me actually try to construct a leg. Let me try and connect the torso to the arm. Okay, day 500. Okay, I've done everything so far. I've combined all the different pieces together. My edges work, lines work, measuring works. Visual library is okay, but I'm using reference to supplement. I'm connecting pieces together. I'm understanding perspective, value, lighting, all of those things that I need to know. Let me attempt a character now. So instead of on day one, when you have zero chance to get this done because you just don't even know what you don't know at the time, finding all the smaller pieces, fitting them all together, and then just executing on that chain, that's really want to get you what you're after. So to try and just encapsulate this whole thing together, what you're really after is finding something big, finding something that's your ultimate goal, and then your job becomes, how do you reverse engineer from there to now? Where am I now? Where is the first problem? Not where is the biggest, or where does it completely fall apart? It's not really that. It's not, why does my character not have soul and passion and drive? No, your character just has a squiggly face right now. It's just a problem that's much earlier on than where you're trying to place the problem. Your job is to just find all the components, so deconstruct whatever the problem is down to the smallest possible variable, and just start going through that list and practicing those individual components. A lot of times, the biggest problem with people doing studies, my biggest problem when I was starting out, is that those studies aren't deliberate. There was this one video that Fang Zhu said, there's two ways to do studies. One is you can just have someone do them with understanding, which means that they look at reference, let's say for a certain amount of time, they see what's going on there, they understand the physics of the scene, they understand the light direction, they understand how the objects are arranged, they understand perspective, they know all of those things, they get it. So they look at the reference, they deconstruct it. So what I mean by that is that they've gotten good at fundamentals. So when they look at something, they can understand the scene. So they're deconstructing the scene and they're reconstructing it through the use of fundamentals. If your problem is that you do not have fundamentals and you can deconstruct a scene mentally. But if you do not have the fundamentals, you cannot possibly execute on that understanding. So you need to even deconstruct what don't I know, and you need to start from there. And if you're just starting, it literally is the smallest possible step. A lot of people, they just want to jump in the deep end and they want to be doing what they want to be doing ultimately right now, today. They don't want to wait or put in 3, 4, 5 years of work to get there. They want to be doing it now. And if it's not happening now, it's like a personal failure of just, I am not good at this. Oh my God, this is the one thing I want to do. It's never going to happen. There's no reason for that. Like, all you have to do is just understand that that's just not how it works. You cannot start at level 27. We all want to, but it's just not how it works. You start where you are right now. You start at the very first basic problem. Deconstruction, figure out the thing, deconstruct it to its big components, then break those down into smaller ones, sequencing, arrange them all so that they make sense. So don't put anatomy first and then do figure drawing 6 months later or a year later, because if you can't draw the figure, you can draw the anatomy on it. Like, the anatomy is something that should be structured way down the line. It's once you can actually make a figure and pose it, then to add that extra level of realism, you put that anatomy on. So what would the purpose be of doing anatomy first and then figuring out, oh, I can't draw? How would that work? And that's a question for me, because that's exactly what I did. So then don't get caught up in just emotional decisions, and don't get caught up in just, I have no idea what to do. Don't be swayed by emotion. Don't feel like you're helpless or hopeless, because that's only going to serve to lose you time. Deconstruct these things like a scientist, like someone looking at a radio. Like, when you open it, you take it all apart, and then you just have all these circuits, and you're a 5-year-old and you've just broken the radio. Your job now is to figure out how to put that thing back together logically before grandma comes back and finds out she can't listen to her 5 p.m. soap opera. That does not make granny happy. Your job is literally just, okay, which wire did I put out? All of these things that are just flowing together, which one did I disconnect? What was the order that these all came out in? I need to put them back in the exact same way, and they will work. Because it's just a sequence of steps executed in order that will give you your result. So your studies have to be deliberate. You have to be way more of a scientist than an artist, at least when you're learning. Then later on, when you've accumulated all this skill and you can just rapid fire execute on whatever you want, then you can be more of an artist. But your first job, your first hat is to be a scientist. I don't really think they wear hats. So deconstruction, sequencing, and then selection. And these, by the way, these come from Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Chef. That's the book where he talks about rapid learning, and he talks about how he goes from zero to being pretty good in different things that he's attempted doing. So it's a universal. Deconstruction, sequencing, and then selection. Selection being that there's just way too many things to be learned at any time. So you're gonna have to just sacrifice a couple of these things, and you can just not commit the time to it right now, but you can maybe pile that on later on. So what are the essentials that you need to do? Not every single thing, because that'll just take too long, but what are the essentials right now so I can just execute on what I wanna make? Later on, I can add more and more layers. So selection is super important, just because if you pile everything on all together, it's just as bad as almost as not doing anything. It's just having too many things, and this is going to be the subject of another video. Having too many things is just, it's way too scattering. You need to really just focus all your firepower and problem solving on one thing, execute on that, move on to the next thing, execute on that, move on to the next thing, build up that chain. If you're trying to put on too many things, it'll just take way too long before you're able to produce. It's better to just select the essentials, the bare components, do those, and then start layering on extra complexity that will separate you from all the other people out there. But that's it. I think I'll cap it off here. Get some feedback from you guys. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments, give me some guidance. Let me know what part of this you understood, what part you don't get. Maybe I'll come back with some more examples, but let me know what you think. I need to know what you guys think, because otherwise it's just me talking to myself. And I already have all these things so just deeply ingrained because I've thought of them for so long that I really can't see how they connect too well. I can't deconstruct it too well. So if you give me some feedback, I can then do some more deconstructing. I can get better. I can get back to you with more better stuff. Leave me some comments. If the videos help, share them, like them, because it helps them being found. Thank you all so much for all the support. Thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you for bearing with me while I figure out how to make these better for you and just what to communicate really. And yeah, remember to check out the sketchbook if you're looking for just a structured improvement over 3-4 years. So if you're just looking like what did this guy's stuff look like at the beginning, I've put that on the website for you. So just check out the sketchbook, not the portfolio, the sketchbook. There's also an Instagram, there's a Facebook page. Find me there and you get to see some of the stuff before it comes out, behind the scenes stuff and whatever else. Thank you all very much. I'll see you soon. Keep on pushing, keep getting better. This thing is doable by absolutely anyone. You just have to do it the right way. That's it.